Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. It is all around us, even now in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
Sightings made headline news across the country, and the government was forced to act. Within 3 years of Roswell, public concern caused President Harry Truman to address the country on the subject of UFOs.
What? Oh, yes, we discussed it at every conference that we had with the military. There's always things like that going on. Flying saucers, and we've had other things, you know, if I'm not mistaken.
The 1950s was a time of high tension in the Cold War. As nuclear annihilation threatened, there was also a huge jump in UFO sightings across America. My journey to look for the truth behind UFO sightings has led me to Washington, D.C., where in 1952 a series of strange lights were seen over Capitol Hill.
In the midst of this big national flap, sightings occurred over Washington, D.C. This involved 3 radar sets in the Washington, D.C. area, which picked up targets that were traveling around in restricted airspace over the Capitol.
This couldn't be ignored. It had all the makings of a national emergency. Whether it was alien visitors or, as many in the military suspected, advanced Soviet spy technology, the Air Force had to act fast. Jets were launched against the UFOs, and the military made sure their actions made headline news. The intention was to reassure the public, and it might have worked but for the fact the following weekend, the 19th of July, the UFOs were sighted again. 1,000 people reported sightings, including staff from President Truman's office. The government had to be seen to act. General John Sanford, head of Air Force Intelligence, was given the job of reassuring the nation and explaining what people had seen.
In pursuit of this obligation, since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 1,000 and 2,000 reports that have come to us from all kinds of sources. Of this great mass of reports, we have been able adequately to explain the great bulk of them.
So here he was saying specifically they're not a threat to the United States, the implication being the Air Force is doing its job, where there's no threat out there. In spite of the fact that the Air Force internal documents had said, you know, well, it might be Soviet, and used that as a reason to investigate and so on.
The Air Force's commitment to act on the UFO problem would result in one of the biggest military investigations in American history. The Air Force, which had secretly been investigating UFOs since 1947, were forced to set up an open inquiry. Called Project Blue Book, it promised to investigate each separate sighting report that was filed by the general public. In spite of Air Force intelligence claims there was nothing to worry about, the US Air Force was actually taking UFOs very seriously indeed.